Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello friend, a long time no see. Welcome back to my class. With me, Hanifah Solihah. How are you today? You had a good day, right? Have you ever taken the time to read novel or story that your mother used to read before going to bed and sang during your children, family, during your vacation? All of those activities are fun, aren't they? So let's talk about narrative text. Narrative text is a type of writing that tells a story. It can be based on real events, non-fiction or imagined what's fiction, and its primary purpose is to entertain, inform, or persuade the reader. Narrative typically follow a chronological sequence of events featuring characters, a setting, a plot which include a conflict or problem, and a resolution. The following are examples of narrative texture genres. The first, fables. These are stories about animals. For example, is The Ant and Grasshopper. Second, myth. That is stories or myths that are widely spread among the community and are generally considered to be factual or unfactual happen. For example, Nyi Roro Kidul. So in the last, third, legends, folk tales that tell origins of a place. For example, the story of Lake Toba. The next genre is folk tales. These stories have been passed down from generation to generation and have become part of community tradition. For example, the story of Malin Kundang. Next, the fairy tales. These are children's stories that contain elements of magic for things that are impossible for the characters. And at the end of the story, there is a moral message. For example, Ghost with the Golden Egg. And then, love story. This is a story that focuses on a character's struggle to win the love of the main character. For example, is the story of Romeo and Juliet. In addition to the genre mentioned above, there are also others genres such science fiction, horror, history, slice of life, personal experience. So what the purpose of narrative text? There are several purposes and functions. The first, to entertain the readers. The second, to amuse the readers. The third, to teach moral value. So, and the last one, to change social opinion. The next is, there are three generic structures of narrative text. Orientation. It sets the scene and introduces the participant. This section is used to introduce the characters, place, and time of the event. Second, complication. This section describes the problem in the story and how the main character solves it. It includes the situation or event that brings the problem to a climax. This section shows when the crisis arises. Complication describes the beginning of the problem until it reaches its climax. This section usually involves the main character is resolving the conflict. The resolution. The crisis is resolved for better or worse. So, the end of the story, usually a happy ending. This section is the end of the story or the solution to the problem that occurred. The problem can be resolved for better or worse. This will determine whether the story ends happy or otherwise. To the text structure mentioned above, there are other optional structures. This may or may not be present. Among them are evaluation, which is about to evaluate the story or its moral message, repeating the story or moral message as a form of evaluation, which is a change in the characters, lessons, or values in the story, indicating a change in the values or lesson of the characters in the story. And the last one is reorientation, which is the ending of the story, stating the final conclusion of the story. And thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. See you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.